Hi, this is Paula Judith, and I'm thrilled to have Catherine Diehl here today. She is a native Michigander, meaning that she has a favorite Great Lake and can point to the exact location of her house on her hand. That is so funny. Lake Superior, with all of its majesty and mystery, owns Catherine's heart. Camping with her family on its shores is the highlight of her summer every year. She loves all things caramel, coffee, hockey, shopping, baking, and decorating her house for every season and holiday. She is a very visual, spatial person, so everything in her house has a place, but sometimes looks better in a different place, which drives her husband nuts. Yeah, my husband said that most women move furniture around. I would move plants around every year. It's like,
Oh, I do both.
yeah. So speaking of her amazingly talented husband, they live in a house that he built with his 3 human children and fuzzy child Gordy. If Catherine is not holed up on her couch attacking the keyboard, you can find her teaching high school English language arts and choir and taxiing her children everywhere, since all 3 of them are in sports and hockey season never ends. They are always on the go, and Catherine wouldn't have it any other day. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Catherine.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited. We're going to talk about hockey romance.
We are. Yeah. So you're gonna laugh at me for this. Um, so I actually had my 17-year-old come up with most of the stuff for this. So it's really funny because I was really picky when I started writing. Um, because I read a lot of hockey romance that didn't have any hockey. I mean, they would discuss like I went to the game, I came home from the game. I mean, anybody can come up with like what a locker room is in your brain, right? We've all been in a locker room. So I mean, that was in there, but it was like, yeah, we went to the game, next chapter. Yeah, we lost like 6-2. Well, there's like no hockey in it. So there's no description of like what is going on. And it really kind of bothered me. I mean, some of them are really good. I read some really, really, really good hockey romances by really, really good authors. And I found that what stood out to me was the ones that described the actual game. Like you can't write a sports novel without the sport in it. Like just because they play it doesn't mean that you can't that you don't have to put it in there. Like they have, it has to be in there. It's not like, someone has an accounting job and you don't want to put that in there because it's kind of boring. You know what I mean? It's like he worked at his computer all day. Done. Well, it's a little bit different with the hockey thing. And what else I found is there's terminology. I mean, it's like when you're watching football. I mean, for me, when I watch football, it is my mind goes in the gutter. I wrote romance. So my mind goes in the gutter. You can't talk about tight ends and stuff without me like going there. Like you can't. So hockey's the same thing. But it's a different vocabulary. And they talk like that on and off the ice. Like it doesn't end. I mean, my 17-year-old talks like that constantly. And it's like, you're watching a game and it's like, oh, that was a nice pass. Like that's like me saying, "Oh, that was a nice pass." And then my son would be like, "Yeah, that was an excellent deke. I mean, he went to the corner and he dug it out, and then he shot it back to the winger, and then the winger shot, and it was like that was an excellent, it was a bar down." And it's like, okay,
Okay, but that must make it I, I I mean, any kind of those sports, if you're not really into it, it would be
right,
very difficult to get that kind of verbiage going. And
right,
yet having your son into it and knowing how he's talking, that must make it a lot easier
it
to
does.
write.
And I had a lot. So, um, I met my husband after his career was over, but my husband played hockey like junior level. So that was up there. I mean, drafted like the whole thing. So, I mean, he had quit because he aged out before I met him because I mean, I met him later. So it was like
I was gonna say, how old are you?
21.
21 when
21.
you age out?
Yes, 21.
You're kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
You mean all these players that are out there playing hockey or
No, that's major. So you get drafted into going on, but like all of your junior status, which would be like there's different leagues. Um, Michigan has two that are OHL, which is interesting because it's Ontario Hockey League. So we have two, and those kids can be accepted anywhere from 16 to 21, and then they
okay.
age out at 21.
Okay.
Um, Once you go to that level, you're considered a professional because you're getting paid to play. They pay for you to go somewhere. Are you making bank? No, it's not. It's not the NHL. It's way different, but it's a step in that direction. So it's a long trek to get there. Um, and I mean, there's many hockey players, and half of them don't get that far. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, I understand. So when you're writing romance hockey, are you writing for the pros, or are you writing for the almost pros, or are you
it
writing for
depends.
the
It
YF?
depends. Okay, so I wrote, I have them here actually. So I wrote three so far. I am apparently a masochist because, I have a full-time job, three kids, which one of them doesn't live here, like right now. I'll explain that in a second. But I have four, four different series out at one time. Because I was like, I had this whole agent thing, and then I didn't get a publisher, and then I was like, I'm sitting on 5 books here. I mean, and they're all like the first of a series, and one of them I haven't even published yet. So it's like, what do I do with these things? So I'm like, nope, I'm going to publish them all on my own, and I'll just rotate them out. So I have four. I just keep alternating. So far I've got six out, and three of them are hockey, and one of them is a young adult because I needed a young adult novel because of my kids, and then my students, because students are like, they knew that I was writing this, they knew that I had this going, they knew that I was going to do this, and they're high school students. So they're like, "Can we read your books?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not." I mean, no. So I'm like, I need to put a young adult book out there. So I wrote this, and this is a young adult hockey scuba romance novel.
Sorry, I had a train going by.
Oh, that's fine. I was like
Is it
freaking out
a
here. I'm
little
like,
bit
what
difficult to
happened?
play hockey when you have a scuba diving suit on?
No, okay, no, but it's in there because I did this one in Northern Michigan. So this is so this one right here is high school hockey. You know what I mean? So it's way different. And like the language and everything in here is way different than it would be in my adult ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're different scenarios. So this is high school hockey. I mean, this is not as complex as like NHL ones, but the other one is an NHL one. And there's
Okay.
there's lots of there's lots of nuances with the NHL one that you have to put in there. I mean, like for instance, here you're driving with like your parents are on a bus to go
Right.
somewhere, right? Here, which I'll show you my other one. So, and then this is the first one in my Milwaukee Glacier series. So this one is an NHL team. So like this is set in Milwaukee, and they have like you have to be to the next if you're going out of town to play a game, you have to be there 24 hours in advance. You can't play for like the day before Christmas. You can't play on Christmas Eve, you can't play or practice on Christmas Day, and you can't play or practice like the day after. Like you'll get fined. I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to know to throw in here, otherwise it's just not gonna be right. Like I remember reading some like there's a lot of authors actually that put, if they're on a road trip and they're describing this road trip and they're like in their own room. No hockey team is gonna give you your own room. Like you have to share a room. I don't care who you are. Like you're sharing a room. And I mean, like the only actual NHL team that has their own plane are the Red Wings. So I mean, everybody else charters flights. So I mean, Like if you're gonna write a hockey romance, you gotta know that. You know what I mean? Because like people like me who are forced into it because I've got, a husband and two sons that play this. I can't, I have to do that. I have to know this. Otherwise it's gonna be like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like,
Well,
oh,
I was talking to a woman the other day, and she works in the medical field. She loves reading medical romances, and she hates medical romances for the most part by people who aren't in the medical field because
right.
don't get things correct.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I don't write medical romance because I don't like blood. So I'm not gonna write about it.
You don't
I
like
mean, I,
blood,
I
but
kind
you
of
write
do.
hockey.
Right. And I mean, I write, I also have like a protector series out there, which that was kind of fun. So I don't, and there's probably tons of stuff that's wrong in that, but I'm not gonna, and I like reading like books about like Navy SEAL, I don't know anything about that. So I'm not gonna write about that either, but I can make stuff up. I'm just, so that's like one of my pet things that you gotta know, like you have to know how the NHL works. I mean, it's more than just how the game is played. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. And so I'm very curious where you were saying that you have to have the games in there, but it's the romance also. So how do you weave the game and the romance together?
So it depends on the book. One of them I'm planning there's going to be romance on ice, which I haven't quite figured out the ins and outs of that yet, literally. But I really kind of like that idea. Um, Open Skate has the romance. Okay, so let me go through this really quick, and then I've got a mini presentation that I made because I'm
Okay.
a teacher, so I have to do this stuff because
Okay.
I have to plan. But I've got like some stuff in there too. But anyway, so this one is he's an owner. I mean, that's not him, obviously. That's a stock photo. But he is an owner and then she played. So there's a lot the hockey in here isn't because they're playing games, it's because they're practicing or they're drilling, which there's a lot of that. There's like three parts in here that has that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So this one has more hockey in it because he's a player
Okay.
literally in more sense than the word. But that's the way I set this one up. So this one has games in it. Like there's see my flags. So these are like the two game sections that I've got that have examples of actual game in there. And then the romance is weaved around that. So it's like you can have a good game or a bad game, but the romance doesn't have to be inside of the game itself. That's usually like, an afterthought. Because, I mean, my son, who is 17 years old, will live and breathe hockey, but he doesn't have a girlfriend right now. So he's not allowed to do anything except play hockey. You know what I mean?
Right. So, okay. So, I mean, I don't know anything about your books. I have not read them. I personally have no interest in hockey, although I know a lot of women
Get
who
you.
do,
Right.
So in my mind, it's like, okay, so you've got this player and I've never seen a cheerleader on hockey, you know.
There
So
are some NHL
do
teams
they
that have
have them?
them.
So is this like a a woman who goes to the games? I mean, how do they tell us how do
It
you put
depends.
it together?
Again, um, that one is the hockey is just kind of woven in there. This one, he hires her to be an educational director for his NHL team
Okay.
because he wants to promote um hockey in schools. So she is that's like really really weird. There. Okay. So she is like her name's Olivia. So her job is to take players to a classroom and teach a lesson.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I set this up. I based this book off of my dream job because who wouldn't want to do that for a living? Because that sounds awesome. Take hockey players to school for a day. I can do that. And then this one, She is hired. This is actually her brother. Okay.
Okay.
And they come from like a hockey dynasty because I had to weave that in there too. And then he has a one night stand with a model because he models suits, which there are hockey players that model suits.
Okay.
So he models suits and he has this one night stand with her and then she gets pregnant, but he doesn't know. And then she ends up working for the team he's on. So I mean, it's like 3/4 of the book, and he finally figures it out.
Okay. All right. No, I can see how this gets. I've never really gotten into sports romance, and there's a lot of different sport romance
Yep.
out there. So, I'm probably asking like kindergarten questions of you, but that's a lot of the people who will watch this probably will be asking those same kindergarten questions. So you have a presentation. I think that's exciting. Do you want to
All
screen
right, we're
share
gonna
it?
try this because I hate technology. So give me a second.
Okay.
All right, it is right here. I think I can actually do this and share. Everything's different. Can you see that?
It's coming. There
Yes.
we go. All right.
Cool. It's a whole 6 slides. You can handle that.
Okay.
That's what I tell my students. I'm like, yeah, it's a whole 6 slides. You don't do these often, but I have a Canva addiction. I don't know if or Canvas addiction. I don't know if anybody else has that, but that's where I make everything because I love it.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move you out of the way. We're gonna move me and you out of the way. Or hide.
I think
Hide thumbnail. Okay,
I
we're good.
think that the Zoom video records whoever's talking. So whatever you see on your screen is not necessarily what's being recorded.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it doesn't work, it'll just be like everything else that's
Well,
technology
we
based that,
will see,
falters in my
we
life,
will
but
see
that's
your,
okay.
we will see your presentation though. So how to
Sweet.
write a hockey romance novel. Three
Okay,
elements to
cool.
make your
I'm
novel
glad you can see
authentic.
that. That's
Great.
awesome. I spent a whole 20 minutes on this. I'm just kidding. All right. Also, super fun fact, this is not a stock photo.
Is that your son?
It is.
All right,
It's from
cool.
like one of his pictures from like 3 years ago. And I said, I'm gonna put you on a book cover. He's like, no. And I'm like, it's a young adult novel and it's like the same age as you. So yeah, I am. So I thought that was funny. Couldn't help
I think
myself.
that's great. That's going to start his modeling career, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we'll see about that. He's only 17 and I've got him he's actually billeting, which is it's where you pay a team to house your kid so that he can play hockey.
Cool.
So he is being billeted right now to a AAA team. So he was home for Christmas, but he went back and he'll be home in April and then he'll graduate from high school and then he can go somewhere else. But that's just what he wants to do. So we're gonna, do that. Okay, anyway. So writing about any sports requires more than simply knowing the rules and how it's played. So this is the same one that's on the cover. So that's my oldest. And then that's my baby. He's 9.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, knowing how the game is played is important, but knowing everything that happens off the ice, like training, know what types of exercise are necessary for proper performance, plus know the proper nutrition, practice, know what types of drills are run in practice and why they are used. In terminology, hockey has a whole vocabulary attached to it. And I really think that these are the things that make a hockey romance good. I mean, if you're gonna have a hockey part in there, they're not gonna like go out and eat, a ton of food and then go to practice the next day. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna
Well,
work.
I guess so. We want you to have an empty stomach so that when you get a hockey puck in the solar plexus, you're not losing everything on the ice, right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, My son doesn't eat a whole lot before games. He naps before games. So like they're all crazy superstitious. So they all have their own rituals. And you can put your own like ritual on your own hockey player. It doesn't really matter. I mean, my husband would eat like carbs before a game. So I don't know. But yeah, you don't want to eat like a huge meal and then go out and work. I mean, it's just like any sport. You don't want to go out there and, make it all come back up. All right, so training off ice is just as important as training on the ice. Here's a small list of training drills. These are from my 17-year-old. So box jumps, squats, pushing sled, that's literally pushing a sled. Core workouts, that's ab stuff. Leg workouts, because legs are important. Hockey players have massively large glutes because that's the muscles they use the most. So, and explosive sprints because it's the muscles you use the most. So, I could describe them, but I don't think you need me to. It's not that big of a deal. Um, Practice makes perfect. Training as one team. Small list of drills. These are from my son again. 4 blue lines, 4 dot flow drills, 2-man regroup. There was a bunch of other ones that he gave me, and I was like, I'm not putting those all down. So team drills for coordination, group exercises like passing drills and scrimmages, build timing and flow. I've got a couple scenes in here that are drills and scrimmages and running plays that are kind of important to the story. Developing trust through practice. Consistent practice fosters trust, helping players anticipate each other's moves. Improving communication skills. Training sessions allow players to refine communication techniques used during games because that's kind of important. You need to know where the other person is if you're going to pass a puck. And I mean, this is on top of how the game is played. This is a blue line. Why? Because it's blue. I mean, you have obviously you have a goal. I mean, obviously you have 5 players on the ice at one time unless there's a penalty. So you have 3 forwards, you have 2 defense and a goalie. You can pull the goalie at any time as long as you don't have any more than 6 players out there. If you get a penalty, it depends on the penalty you get. So I mean, there's different penalties that you can get. Fighting's 5. Anytime you draw blood, it's 5. Anytime you have some kind of a misconduct where it's like really bad, like you did something like really horrible, I mean, you'll get kicked out for a game and then you'll have to go before a board and then they decide if you get fined and how many days of suspension you get.
So this is
Um,
a lot of this stuff, I presume, is because it used to be such a violent game with,
I think, yeah, in the 80s and 90s, yeah, there was a lot um, there was a lot of checking because the idea of checking, which, by the way, you are not allowed to check until you are a Bantam, which is, Bantam is 13, 14. So you're not allowed to check until then. But the idea of checking is to take the opposing player off of the puck. That's literally the idea. You want to make sure that if they're going after the puck, you want to make sure they don't get there. If they have the puck, you want the puck. So that's the idea of checking. But it's not like you can just hit somebody with your stick because that's a penalty. There's no checking for like in the head. There's no checking from behind. There's no
so what is
charging. That's a
checking
penalty.
other
That's where you
than,
you like literally go after somebody and like leave your feet and like yeah. There's boarding penalties you can get. I mean, there's a ton of different penalties that you can get. So I mean, literally the trick is to keep the puck on your stick or on your opponent's stick so that you can score a goal. But there's different ways of getting that puck away from
okay,
somebody
and
else.
and
So you just
and
have to know what
the
and where and when to do it.
okay, okay.
Um, I can't see that because that's like way up there. But anyway, whoa, please hold. So terminology, here's examples of some terms used for hockey players. These are from my son. There's more than this. There's a ton. All right, lettuce is hair. Mitts are gloves. Salad is also hair. Hands are nasty deeks. Okay, a deek is when it looks like you're gonna shoot, so you like pull your stick back like you're gonna shoot, but you don't. and you like pass it instead of shooting. Twig is a stick, bucket is a helmet. I don't know the steez thing. The steez and the sty, that's my son. I don't know. I don't know how yuck is good. This is like totally like something that I'm not used to. Bar down is a type of a goal. That's when it hits, that's when the puck hits the top of the goal post and goes in. And there's a lot more. I mean, because goalies go in butterflies. There's different goalie positions. There's different shooting. There's different types of shots. You know, there's slap shots. There's wrist shots. I mean, there's tons, tons of terminology attached to hockey that you can pick up when watching a game, but it's like almost essential to not only put the terminology of how the goal was scored, because you can't just score a goal. You have to like describe how it's scored with pass. You know, it's not just with passing. I mean, pass to who? How do you pass it? What kind of a pass? I mean, and then what kind of a shot? Where did it go in the net? What did the goalie do? You know, I mean, there's a lot to it. It takes me a while to write a small hockey part in there because there's so many things that are incorporated in it. It takes
So,
me a while.
so Catherine,
It's
with your hockey game scenes, about how long are they? You know,
hockey scenes
more.
anywhere from a page to 4 pages. I've got one in major penalty that is um hold on. Stop share. Okay. So I have one that's in major penalty that's like it's long. I mean, and who's my editor's in Toronto and also has 3 kids who play hockey. Her husband also played. So she's amazing. So, but anyway, she's like, this is really long. And I'm like, I know, but I need to keep it in there. So it's a good 8 pages. But it's a major section in there because it's the female main character from the first book, and she's training um her fiance, not her husband, okay, yeah, husband at the time's team. So, and like her brother's on there and stuff. So she's sharing the drills that her father, who also played professionally, taught her and her brother. So they're like teaching like people, you know, like the rest of the team, how to be a good defenseman.
And
So that's a pretty long scene, but it needed to be in there because I
okay.
really wanted it in there.
And I
So
presume people who like hockey um find that interesting.
I know it's funny because um I have friends that were like, yeah, I wasn't sure I was gonna like it, but I learned so much about the game. It was so interesting, and now I want to actually go watch a game. And I was like, really? You
Yeah,
know, but and then there's other ones like I'm not gonna read a hockey novel. I was like, why don't you write a football one? And I'm like, because I don't know football like I know hockey. I can watch it, but I don't know as much, you know.
yeah, yeah. You need to get that third son into the football
That's my
or
daughter. My
baseball
daughter
or
does not
something
play
like that.
football. My daughter's the middle child, and she's in enough.
Oh, oh, okay.
She
Yeah,
just
I
went on
mean,
a ski club trip last night and
my oldest
actually didn't fall.
grandson.
So this is their first time on skis, so she's super excited.
Yeah, well, I remember my oldest grandson. Um, he had to make a choice. Was he going to go on the rifle team in high school or the football team in high school? He chose football. And I said
Mhm.
to him, how can you do that, Christopher? Football's dangerous. And he looked at me, well, I don't feel that guns are dangerous because I'm used to them, you know.
Right.
Uh, but I know that you can really get injured hard, bad
Yeah, same thing
in
with
football.
hockey. I mean, because you're going fast. I mean, you're on like blades that are like, razor sharp. I
Mm,
mean, and then you're going super fast. I mean, and if you hit the boards wrong or you go into the boards wrong or do something, I mean, my boys are covered from head to toe in plastic. Covered.
yeah.
So it's really rare because they teach you how to be safe with it. And it's the same thing with football, but there's less padding,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I
in
mean, and my son
football,
had to do the same thing because he wanted to play football too. And that was, he was in eighth grade when we started traveling for football, for football, for hockey, eighth grade.
yeah.
So, I mean, this is the first year that we're not taking him 4 hours away
Yeah.
for
Well,
practice.
with football, they don't need as much padding because they're not going 35 miles an hour. If they're running,
Right.
they're just running.
Right. And you can get injured in hockey like really easily. But I mean, and he had to choose because we're like, for one, you don't have time. And two, what happens if you blow your knee out and then you can't, your whole hockey season's messed up?
Exactly. Exactly. So why don't we open this up to Jordy and Judy and see if they have questions for you?
Sounds good.
They might even
Or
have more
not.
intelligent questions than I have. Jordy and Judy, feel free to unmute yourself. Judy
Oh,
says,
thanks.
thank you. Okay, this is great. Okay. So I take it
No,
that Jordy
this is
like
Hi.
Jordy, I take it you like watching hockey, is that correct?
yeah, I'm up here in Canada, so we tend to watch a lot of it, and my kids played it as well. So I was going to ask, have you looked at college versus professional in terms
Yeah.
of the storylines?
The four series thing that I've got going on right now is kicking my butt. So as soon as I get one of them done, my plan is to, I don't know if I want to go college or if I want to go, um, or if I want to go minor, a feeder team. Because in either open kid or major penalty. In major penalty, I put a feeder team for the fake team that I made, which, Wisconsin needs a hockey team, so that's why I gave them one. But I put it in Marquette because Marquette is one of my favorite places to visit. And it's so I'm debating on either going there for like a new adult novel because I want to get into that market or college, which would be the same age because you can either go one or the other. You know what I mean? But it'd be in Marquette.
No, that's good. I enjoy reading hockey romances. They're quick, usually quick and fun and all that kind of stuff. So no, this has
Yeah.
been quite interesting.
How do you get those specific details regarding terminology? I get them from my kids, my husband, but you can Google that stuff too. They're on there. I mean, there's a couple different articles that I think I remember AIing through Google.
Excuse me, Catherine. Um, for the recording and for people who won't be seeing the chat, let's read the chat before you answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So it says, how do you get those specific details regarding the terminology? How do you get the change room talk and the talk on the rink while they're playing? That's the question.
Talk on the rink while they're playing.
On the rink while they're playing.
I missed it. Hold on.
Can they talk on the rink while they're playing?
Yeah, they do. Okay, so you need to communicate on the rink while they're playing, especially during games. Practices, I mean, you can talk. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's practice. It just depends on, what you're doing in practice, you know? Um, During a game, I do the talking parts after the whistle's blown. So, I mean, hold on. Nope, that's not the one I want. I want the second one. Unless, okay, so this is during a chapter break in here. That's why these little lines are there. So it starts out, Beager Jackson yells, which is one of the nicknames for one of my characters. Ben looks over his shoulder a second later and Jackson shoots on goal, but the defenseman, Adrian Marcus, blocks it. The shot is deflected to the stands and the whistle sounds. We all skate to the right face-off circle and someone jabs me in the calf with their stick. Congrats on knocking Landon's ex up, which is his girlfriend. Jason says and skates next to me in the face-off. Thanks, I tell Statefield. He's a really good defenseman and the only other person I miss from that team. He's also one of the two teammates who texted Dusty, which is another character, and gave him a warning about Joseph's stuff earlier. And then there's like some backstory in here because there's, you know, like what he's thinking kind of thing. And then skip like dun, 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 dun.
Okay, so I'm not sure, and Judy, please correct me if I'm wrong. Are you asking how to do the research to find out this information, or how to write it into the story? How to do the research?
Okay, it's all online. Sorry, I thought you were talking about putting it in the story. Yeah, I literally just Googled hockey terms. I don't know if you can see that or not. Can you see that? Okay. Like hat trick, penalty, assist, forecheck, and then you can also look up common phrases for hockey players. And honestly, watching games, and I'm not talking like watching the game, I'm talking like the analysts that talk about the game in between the periods will give you a ton of information because they talk in hockey. You know what I'm saying? And you can like write down, be like, I have no idea what that is, and like write it down and then look it up and it'll tell you. I mean, common phrases and terms used in hockey. This is the AI Google thing. Gemini, I think that's what it is. Hat trick, snipe, that's a shot. 5-hole, that's between the goalie's legs. Sin bin is a penalty box. Light the lamp, that's the goal because there's a light on top and that's the lamp. Dangle, the show is the NHL. I mean, there's a lot. So yeah. Also, there's a podcast called Spit and Chicklets that I'm really fond of. That's really fun to watch. And if you want to watch that, that's fun.
And Judy says, excellent, thank you. She knows exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
So, Judy or Jordy, do either of you have any other questions? Or Catherine, do you have anything else that you'd like to share with us?
Oh no, I'm good. I think I thoroughly explored this topic.
Okay. Okay. If there are no other questions, then we're just going to thank you very much, Catherine.
Oh, thank you. This was fun.
Yeah. Okay. And oh, Jordy did say earlier something about puck bunnies. I guess those are the women who like love hockey.
Puck bunnies. Okay, so it's actually kind of derogatory. It's not women who like them, like the game. It's women who like the players.
Okay. Okay, that's great.
Hence the bunny thing.
Yeah, I get it now. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, Judy and Jordy and Catherine, for the information. I will get this posted up there tomorrow and send out the email to everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.